I do believe that this election is a litmus test for American tolerance for fascism. The elements of fascism are rooted in this nationalistic drive for more babies for the state, for a strongman-driven nation, and a deep sort of state-based religiosity. So I do believe we have a media problem, and we do have some of our media that is leading people toward fascism. The question of America has become too soft and feminine. I think that is it's a fascist litmus test. So this question of whether the society is too soft and feminine, it was alarming to me that a majority of Hispanic Protestants agree, but that's not shocking. Immigrants are poisoning the blood of the country. This is one of the most terrifying things that you've heard a presidential candidate say, because it is straight out of Mein Kampf. 23% of Jewish respondents agree with that, because that's straight out Nazi talk.
Welcome to Just the Guys podcast.
Guys, welcome to another Just the Guys episode where our mission is simple. We're here to bring back shame, because shame is the negative feedback necessary to change course and direction. And right now, guys, America is completely off the rails. So this week, I'm actually calling it Fascism Week, because the masks slip and the people screaming fascist at everyone just really told on themselves this week. Joy Reid said conservatives are the problem because we want to keep more of what we earn, pass our wealth to our kids, and build business without government breathing down our necks. And so to her, if you believe in freedom, you're the fascist. If you believe in family, you're the oppressor. If you believe in God, you're the extremist. Then we got Nicole Hannah-Jones. If you know her, she's the author of the 1619 Project. And she wrote in the New York Times saying that there's really only one way that we should be thinking and reflecting about Charlie Kirk, and that's her way. And that's goal number 20 of the communist goal I'm telling everybody to study, which is infiltrate the press and control the narratives. Turn journalism into propaganda. Tell the people what to think, not how to think. And with all that going on, government shuts down this week, and the left's blaming the Republicans, claiming they control everything. Well, that's not how a constitutional republic works, but they know that. They just don't care, because goal number 21 says gain control of key positions in government, schools, and the press. And once they've got that control, they use it to brainwash the public into mob rule. Majority power without moral law. That's not democracy. That's tyranny dressed in progressive clothing. These people don't believe in freedom. They believe in permission. They don't believe in equality. They believe in control. They call you fascists for wanting to live without them in your wallet, your school, and your soul. But I'll say this plainly: the real fascists are the ones demanding total obedience to their ideology. And it's time we stop apologizing for wanting less government, stronger families, and a nation rooted in faith and freedom. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into this. I actually want to go ahead and play clip number 2, and we're going to start right there. Go ahead and play clip 2 for me. Reason
is that if you go back before the 20th century, there were no income taxes, there were no regulations on business. You could earn as much money as you want, leave 100% of it to your children with no taxes. Right. That's the world they want back. And to get it back, they need society to change. They need people to be less modern. They need people to want fewer things.
All right, so Tyrone, I want to start with you on this one, because we brought this up in a few episodes a while back. What do Black people want? Here it is, a Black woman sitting there on the stage suggesting that wanting to pass down wealth to your kids is a bad thing, and that she has the audacity to say something like this as if Black people don't want the same thing. Soldiers.
Well, I give her credit for her honesty. That's number one. And just as an aside, the UN actually allowed me to visit with Logic this week in his holding cell. And I can assure you all, he is being well taken care of and fed, healthcare, the whole 9 yards. Anyway, so
they made him say that. I mean,
look, yeah, I mean, when I heard her say that, like I said, I appreciate the honesty, and I hope people are paying attention, because what she's saying is, especially to Blacks, is that you don't deserve generational wealth, and you need to be tied to a confiscatory taxation scheme that it's basically putting you into the category of being a part-time slave. I think you guys know what Tax Freedom Day is, right?
Mm-mm.
All right, Tax Freedom Day. It is the day on the calendar. Let's say you make 100 grand a year, right? I know that's low for you guys, but just for round numbers purposes, you make 100 grand a year. So if you said, all right, I'm going to start in January 1st, every dime I make, I'm just going to give it to the IRS for my taxes. Tax Freedom Day 2025, well, for the 2024 year, well, for 2025, was close to April 15th. Okay. So meaning you would have had to work and pay all of your income for 3.5 months to the IRS. And that Tax Freedom Day gets later and later in the year, every year. So effectively, slavery for everyone, at least for a quarter of the entire year. That's the kind of thing Joy Reid and her acolytes and her paymasters would love to reinstitute in this country. As I have been saying for a few weeks now, Democrats love minimums. Poverty, they have to subsidize it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have a party. Okay, if you woke up tomorrow morning and everyone was striving to do financially better, not relying on government programs, what reason would the Democrats have to exist? Minimum wage, low income housing, all of these 501c3s that you got 1 million 501c3s for homelessness in California, which is a state that has the largest homeless population and growing. It's not in their interest to interdict poverty at all.
So Gimpy, when you heard Joy Reid say that, man, like, what was your kind of immediate reaction? Were you like, is this what everybody? Isn't this what everybody wants? Or were you surprised she was finally saying this all out?
That's how out of touch they are. They really think they're saying something American. Like, they're programmed. That's like proof they're programmed. They're literally telling you the opposite of capitalism, that the government should be able to take your money. Other people deserve it. Redistribute. They're not talking to us. She's literally talking to a tiny little subset of the far left base, and that's it. And hoping that the stragglers who are standing in the doorway listen and wander in. I mean, there's a lady who's fallen off the radar since her peaks. So, again, you'll have to forgive me, but she's just demonstrating how out of touch they are. Just like this whole shutdown that's going on right now, right? You were talking about it in your intro about how the whole thing is the Democrats are trying to say it's the Republican shutdown. Their own people, 40% of Democrats don't believe that, according to the polling out there these days. I don't believe the one thing they had a YouTube. They thought they were going to do some live stream with Democrat shutdown. They couldn't put together like 3 hours of content and have more than 100 viewers, which I guarantee you were drunk Republican staffers.
Just trying to get the scoop on them.
But dude, the metric is totally different now. Barry Weiss just got named editor-in-chief in the free press deal with CBS. She's the head of the CBS newsroom. Conservative women in press. That's that's a whole new world that we're in. It's not that they're fighting for air. That's why they're getting violent and crazy, because they lost the message. They lost the narrative, and she's proving it by saying that right there. It's like totally missing the point of, yes, that's why I go to work and put money in the bank so that the government take. No one is going to tell you they want the government to take more. The idiots who tell you that they want it, they tell you it's only for healthcare, right? Like, they'll do it because you give us healthcare. Trade off. They're not. No one wants to give the government more of their checks and not let their kids take their money. That's the stupidest thing ever. That's not even capitalism. That's what it's been since the beginning of time. And she's trying to make this connection backwards to before, when there's no regulation. She's trying to make you feel of this like pre-modern world where the buildings are made out of wood and you got piss in the outhouse, and that's where they want to take us back to, because it's a way to say slavery.
Yep.
Slavery. Like, they're losing the message. This is them dying on the leash, right now, and this is all because Trump has his boot on their neck.
Yep.
It's 100% because Trump won. If Trump didn't win, it would be a totally different world right now. But because Trump won, these people, they can't even figure out how to get out of their own driveways now.
Mhm.
So, I mean, are we witnessing Operation Let Them Speak in full effect?
Yes. Definitely. I'm sorry. Like, go watch these guys talk now. They sound like idiots. They don't even realize what they're saying. Like the way you said it. Oh, isn't that like not exactly what every American wants? Of course it is. And they're saying it out loud. The only people who hear that are the 25-year-old communist kids that are convinced that money is bad. Wait till those kids all need money to pay bills and they realize they have to earn it. And then when they earn it, they're not going to want to give it to anybody else. And the cycle will start all over. They'll get old.
Yep. So, Reason, man, what's wrong with being less modern, as Joy Reid put it?
Well, good evening, everyone. First off, let me grab this real quick. Kung Fu CJ with the $2 super chat. What's up, guys? We appreciate that. Draco, I'm sending Schumer a thank you email for the shutdown, drain the swamp down, LOL. We appreciate both of you guys. Thank you very much for your super chats. They help us go a long way to help with conservative content. Well, the issue that I pretty much have is this. It's I believe it's the specific people that she's really talking to. I believe Just the Guys did a show a few weeks back that had an article, They Are Still Our Slaves. You guys, is that correct?
Yeah. Mhm.
That happened. Yeah.
We talked about it.
And that article, that article said a lot. I mean, the premise behind it was pretty much, if you want to hide something from black people, stick it in a book because none of them like to read. I believe that's how it ended. And I read that article years and years and years ago, and I sat here and I looked at Joy Reid say this a couple of days ago, and I'm sitting here like, man, who specifically is she talking to? For real? I mean, because I say often, and you guys all know me personally, I say often, life is about people, not about stuff. Okay. So for her to sit here and say that we have to go back to, and people, the mindset of the people have to change, and we have to go back to society where people are less, less technical and less this and that. I'm sitting here like, why is that a bad thing? Why do we have to try to fix something that was never really broken? She's talking to a specific subset of people, okay, because only a certain group of people actually think she's relevant. And those specific subsets of people already have a spending issue to begin with. So my thing is why this bothers me so much is it reminds me of the Black Panther movie. There was $1 billion worth of black eyes on that movie, and you still fucked it up. You could have decided to create a narrative that made people actually feel some kind of positive way about themselves, and you gave that crap. So this is pretty much what's happening with that. She's talking to a specific subset of people that are very emotional, a group of people that feel that get out of here, a group of people that don't like to think for themselves, a group of people that have you'd call it mob mentality, everyone going in the same direction, and telling those people that, you know what, the way to move forward, the way to be progressive is to not do this. You don't want to give money to your children. You want to spend it for yourself. YOLO. You only live once, and that garbage. And that's going to end up keeping specific communities, races, cultures at the bottom. And they know this. And honestly, I think they know when they don't care, or they just don't care.
So
let me just say one thing real quick. Did you see the audience? Did you guys pay attention to the audience in the first clip?
In the first clip?
Yeah.
It was an entirely white audience. Yeah. And there was a lot of females in it.
So I mean that's a good point. But I actually want to speaking of less modern, I do want to go back to a previous period in history. I'm gonna just play this because this guy Fountain Hughes was interviewed, and then once the tape came on, this was the first thing he said. I want you guys to take a listen.
You just go ahead and talk away there. You don't mind, do you? Huh? No. And when now your husband and you both are young, you all try to live like young people ought to live. Don't want everything somebody else has got. Whatever you get, it is yours. Be satisfied. And don't spend your money until you get it. So many people get in debt. Well, it was cheap and I bought it. You spend your money before you get it because you're going in debt for what you want. When you want something, wait until you get the money and pay for it cash. That's what I've done. If I wanted anything, I waited until I got the money and I paid for it cash. I never bought nothing on time in my life. Now, plenty of people, if they want a suit of clothes, they go to work and they buy them on time. Well, they said it was cheap. If you got the money, you can buy them cheaper. They want something for waiting on you for till you get ready to pay them. And if you got the money, you can go where you choose and buy it when you want it.
So this was wisdom being given from a 101-year-old former slave. Like, this dude was a slave, and he has more wisdom about the modern era than these people like Joy Reid want to give. And the reason why he was saying that is because he understood debt was slavery. And if I encourage everyone to listen to the Fountain Hughes interview. He's actually from Baltimore. Well, he was from Charlottesville, Virginia, but ended up in Baltimore. And he goes on to talk about how when the slaves were freed, they were let out like cattle. No one knew anything. But then he was talking about how some people wanted to go back into slavery, and the interviewer asked him a question and said, if you could go back, would you go back? He said, you'd have to kill me first. In the conversation, he's saying, there's some people that wanted to go back to slavery. You can't send me back, right? And I bring that up because it's like people like Joy Reid are saying, like, yes, let's bring on slavery in the form of monetary slavery. And we have a former slave saying, no, I don't want to be enslaved to anybody. Now, how do you guys respond to that, man?
All right, let me just say this. Let me offer this. Yes, debt can be slavery. And what year was this gentleman speaking?
75 years ago, 76 years ago.
76 years ago. So, okay, what's that? The late 50s, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
late 40s.
Late 40s. Okay. So look, it is true that debt is a form of slavery. But let's tell the total story. Debt handled correctly is leverage. Now, back in the 40s, the average home cost $3,000. The average home in the United States of America costs $500,000, actually $522,000. Average home price in America today. You have a tough time saving up for that. And not only that, and let's just not talk about personal purchases, okay? Let's talk about investing. You got to have leverage. Leverage is a tool of the wealthy that they use to become more wealthy. So let's just suffice it to say that in the modern era, there are different types of debt, and one type is slavery. So you got these people. I see more Corvettes on the road than ever before, and I'm talking about the new one. And that car is like the base model is like $80K, right? The average car payment in America is closer to $1,000 than it is to $300. That's slavery debt, okay? Debt that does not do anything for you, but help you to temporarily possess a depreciating item, okay? Leverage helps you accumulate appreciating assets. So I just wanted to put that out there because that's another thing that I think Black people in particular and Americans in general get stuck on is Oh, we want to avoid debt at all costs. No, what we need to do is be very disciplined about how we handle debt. And we need to eschew conspicuous consumerism and
wasn't that what
use
he
it as a
referred to?
leverage tool.
Wasn't that what Fountain Hughes was referring to, though, right? And what Joy Reid is saying, people should get the stuff that they want. They should, and that money, the government should just be able to take from them what they want.
That's
right?
basically what she was saying. Yes.
Yeah, and we have people, like I said, just historical perspective is saying not only just debt, it's like I want to keep more of my money from a principal aspect. When you look at your
labor,
when you balance you do your balance sheet, you're looking at your expenses, your taxes, XYZ. You're saying, how can I save more here? How can I save more here? Taxes is one of those line items. So and debt is another line item that a lot of people have now. But it's one of those things where the mindset of this gentleman, a former slave, is like, I want my freedom. And Joy Reid is like, no, we should progress. Like, she's almost presenting debt and stuff and attachment to things as this is liberation now. This is what we're after. And as a matter of fact, let's force everybody into it.
Right.
Reason, man. I think you had some.
No, I was agreeing with you 100%. I mean, in that aspect, let's because we are unhappy with life, spend an inordinate amount of money to keep ourselves entertained. And because quite frankly, I know for a fact I can grab my wife. We can go down to Augusta, Georgia, where she's from, walk through Thompson, not have our phones out at all, just enjoy the day and be all right with that. We don't have to say, hey, let's go buy a bunch of different things on this trip, or no, we just enjoy each other's company. And when people, again, and that's going to be a huge problem, when people can get back to a point in which they just enjoy life for it being life and not for things that they feel like they need to do to entertain themselves. And we're just going to continue with this issue. I mean, that's just, yeah.
All right, guys, make sure you hit that like button, share, and subscribe to Just the Guys podcast. You also have the Shamers Club for our behind the scenes and special access to material and content. But you can support the show, join the Shamers Club. Again, we're here to bring back shame. I actually want to go ahead and go into a little bit about the.
Sir,
what's up?
Skip me.
No, I was going to you next.
I just want to say, I feel like I must have watched a different set of video clips since I heard all your guys' takes. Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel we got far from what that woman said. That woman said the opposite of materialism. The woman said that you shouldn't have any attachment to your stuff. You shouldn't have any need to keep anything. You should be okay with owning nothing, is basically what she was saying. That's what I heard. Because she was complaining about our desire to keep more of our stuff and retain our labor, because she's a communist and she was preaching communism. So she was preaching that we own nothing. Everything is owned by the state, and we're just part of the contributing class of good citizens of the nation, and that you should be happy with the poor getting their share. There are no rich, and that there is no multi-generational wealth for anyone, anywhere. And that the state will tell us what to do. That was what I heard, was just someone giving you a vague notion of the communist manifesto. She was being very anti-stuff. So I'm sorry, I don't know how you guys got this.
Yeah, were we looking at that the same way?
You were saying that Logic said she was talking about, I didn't hear it. She was talking about owning nothing and being happy in the worst possible way. Not in the way that Reason was talking, like the enlightened way. She was talking about it as being a slave, like the slave to the debt, right? Like all that. But I feel like we lost the plot after that.
Well, she is referring to being a slave to the state, right? It's all about slavery, right?
Right.
So,
but it's about not being a slave to owning anything. That she wants you to own nothing and be happy. That's what
I agree with you, Gimpy. I agree with you. But I do think that there is some nuance there. Sure, you can own, you can possess, because there's a difference between possession and ownership. You can possess your Lada, you could or in America, you're a vet. Okay. Those things are baubles. They're meaningless. So sure, whatever. The Soviets had vacation destinations.
So you got that part of because it was built in to your work allotment. You got a vacation voucher. Not everybody got to go to these vacation destinations. You had to qualify in the list, in the line. Remember, I have a first-hand reference book living in my house.
I completely understand.
I'm just saying, like, I know all this, but at the end,
I know you do. I'm saying this for the benefit of the audience.
Specifically about owning nothing and being a member of the like of the working class proletariat and serving the nation and the party, right? Like, she didn't use all the words. She was just using these subtle undertones, talking about how the hate for us, the things that are the antithetical of communism, wealth, labor earned merit, passing that earned merit along to create multi-generational merit, classism as a result, because those who do that and don't will separate automatically as time goes on, because people who keep passing generational wealth will have money and have luxury, where others who struggle to get by won't. So again,
how much do you want to bet if you asked her, was she putting anything together for generational wealth of her children? She'd say yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because would you not agree that she sees herself as a part of the Politburo, right?
Yeah. I'm not saying she's honest. I'm saying I'm just talking about the message. I felt like we veered off.
It's all connected, man. It's all connected. Trust me. But I think she's making the biggest case for conservatism and admitting that she's a fascist throughout the course of this anyway, right?
She's insane. She's admitting that she's walking around crazy.
Well, let me ask this in honor of Charlie Kirk. Is she admitting that she doesn't have the processing brain power?
Yes. Yes. Every time she opens up her mouth and tells every single American who goes out to work to save money to give it to their kids, right? Single one.
Now, granted, Gimpy, you weren't supposed to be so quick to ask.
But also,
answer.
Can we look on the other side of that as well? Because she's a multimillionaire, so that means a whole lot of people follow her and agree with what she's saying. So doesn't that make an inordinately large number of people in the United States just as Charlie Kirk saying off brain as she is?
Well,
to
put it like
agree
this,
with what or to agree with what she's saying.
I think there comes a limit where you'd be like, hold up now, right? You've been following this line of thinking for so long, and then something that they say doesn't sit right with you. And I think that this was one of those incidents in which people are like, hold up, I want more of my money, because she did this interview on BET or something like that. I think it was on BET, one of the black networks. So she did it. But when you look at the comments now being posted under this post, they're like, yeah, I really want that. I want, I want to keep more of my money. I want to.
I mean, you asked a question. I didn't want to interrupt you and get yelled at later, so I'm just holding up the answer that I have for it. No, 80% are basically toasters.
But you have the 20% that still come out of the audience.
Good, 100%. Again, I'm not knocking anybody, but people are stupid and scared.
Yeah.
And look, man,
to BET interview? You said that was a BET interview?
Yeah,
I think the second clip. The second
okay, because
clip.
I'm like, that was a whole bunch of white people sitting in the audience.
The first clip was different. But look, Gimpy, to your point about the toasters, every socialist that gets on television in America, they have one thing in common. They are very rich, much more so than, they got more wealth than the average American citizen, right? You got Bernie Sanders. You got AOC, even Patrice Cullors, the Black Lives Matter woman, who said herself, she said, quote, "I am an avowed socialist," unquote. And she's living in the Hollywood Hills in a multi-million-dollar mansion. Okay. So all they're setting themselves up in the classic fashion of the not so great socialist, where there is good enough for me, but not for thee. Okay, so if Americans believe that there's going to be no structure that allows connected people to become wealthy, again, that's why she has to argue in favor of a confiscatory taxation system, because then she could go work for PBS and it's tax money funneled into that, and she could make $1 million or more a year. Okay, but all of our socialists, this is why I've said it before, I'll say it again. This is why Bernie Sanders no longer uses the term millionaire in his speeches. It used to be millionaires and billionaires that he castigated. And he does not say millionaires anymore because he is one of them.
Yeah, but they're such big toasters, his followers, when you directly remind them that he's a millionaire with 3 homes, right? And how is he fighting for you and your thing against the billionaires? Doesn't that seem a little strange? He's basically arguing about taxing himself more. Do you really believe they do? Oh no, he's fighting for us, dude. I'm telling you, they're toasters. People walk around like lemmings. Otherwise, dictators would have a much harder time keeping control of countries.
Right. Because there is an address where if you'd like to pay more in income taxes, you can. Yep. The Department of Treasury will take the money, but I don't see Sanders. A few years ago, Warren Buffett even got on that train and started making a big deal, talking about how his secretary was taxed in a different. Yeah, of course she is, because she's making income taxes. You're making capital gains taxes. It's a totally different thing, Warren. And it sounds like what you need to do is pay your secretary more. Okay, that was the answer to it. But none of these guys are writing extra checks to the Department of the Treasury.
Do they get a tax write-off for doing that?
Hell no.
All right, so speaking of government control, this week was, the government shut down on October 1st because the Republicans and Democrats, Democrats couldn't come to an agreement on the continuing resolution. But the media narrative behind this, man, and the political narrative, again, you got Jasmine Crockett and other national figures out here saying that it's all Republicans' fault, and they're pushing this message that Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the presidency, so it's their fault for the shutdown. And I just want to put this out there and open up the floor. Like, isn't this exposing their view on what democracy or republic, or really what democracy is, but what our country is set up is? Because don't we have in our Constitution where the majority party isn't just allowed to steamroll the minority party, and is what they're saying with this message is saying, well, if Republicans control everything, they should just be able to do everything that they want, where they're exposing themselves. So if Democrats are in control, this is what they would do. So I just wanted to kind of just throw that out there. Like, what do you?
They need 60 votes. Okay, that's why they need some Democrats. So any Democrat running around talking about they control everything, Democrats, y'all got to sign on in order to do anything of a fiscal nature in the Congress. They know that. But as Gimpy said, they're going to play to their audience of toasters, and they're going to lie. They're going to say they don't want money for illegal alien healthcare, which they do. Now, and look, we talked about this on Soldiers of Finance day before yesterday. So many Americans cannot afford healthcare, right? Yet the Democrats, again, they bend over backwards for non-citizens and criminals every time, right? Here they are again, demanding that immigrants get something that's not guaranteed to regular American citizens. Okay, so it's perverse. The other thing they want is money for PBS. Listen, damn PBS. If it's that good, if Sesame Street is that valuable, then they need to start airing some commercials. Okay, let it fight for its position in the open market. Okay, if it doesn't survive, it doesn't survive. Okay, that's how it is. That's the way the world works.
Yeah. So reason, do they think on the subject of toasters, do they think Americans are that undereducated in civics that, when they're presenting this narrative that Republicans control everything, so they should just, this shutdown is their fault?
Nah, actually, yes, I believe that bless you. I believe that what's happening is people often take into consideration just what they hear. They don't have a habit of doing any kind of research or anything like that at all. That's why I think like MCM is inordinately important. Shows like Just the Guys podcast and Pop and Politics and All American Talk Show and Christian Conservative and brother channels like Soldiers of Finance and all that good stuff, where you can actually get researched stuff that allows you to actually go, okay, think for yourself and then choose what you want to. I do believe that they're that stupid. They're sitting here like, you know what? We'll tell them. They believe that the people that they are talking to, their audience is that stupid. They believe that, you know what, if we tell them they're not going to do any of the research, we're just going to believe them. And that's why I believe that's seriously why it doesn't even work like that. You know what I mean? But quite frankly, the fact that you could just say 1 + 1 = 3 and enough people will believe it is a problem in itself.
Yep. So Gimpy, is democracy their word for tyranny? Is that now the code word? Has it been the code word?
I mean, they want a socialist, they want the UK. They want you to think you live free, but really you just gave away all your freedom for what they call security, I guess, or safety, or other buzzwords they'll use between now and then. I mean, again, if Trump didn't win, we'd all be living in the UK right now with digital passports and can't say nothing. I mean, they give him a lot of shit, but whatever. And the truth be told, the Republicans never had to negotiate on this one because they were never giving up on illegal healthcare. And I don't know, I'm happier to have the government shut down since it allows Trump to gut the whole government and no one can stop him. This was the stupidest thing ever if you want to stop him from slashing budgets and reducing government, because while the government's shut down and Congress is out of session, the OMB has the right to do anything it wants to run the minimum amount of government that there is and fire everyone it doesn't need.
After 31 days.
Yeah, I mean, dude, this is a train that they're going to lose, man. Their constituents are the ones who get fired, not, right? Like, you understand that that's how it works. I was a contractor. Just in Department of Labor, you have things like wage and hour, which is considered a very liberal division, versus like Office of OLMB and all these other ones that have to do with like protecting businesses. Right? One's the worker side, and one's the business. Dude, everybody who works in those business side ones, they're safe. Everybody who works in wage and hour and all that other stuff, they're going to get gutted first, right? That's how it works. With the Republican in charge, and it's just going to go downhill for them from there, from inside the government. And that's just one easy demonstration of it that you can see that anybody can go look at. And after 31 days, you'll see a difference. I'm sorry. This is a runaway train for the Democrats. They think that their people are so dumb, they demonstrate how dumb they actually are, right? It's like the blind leading the blind with this. They literally have no idea what to do to stop Trump. So they're doing everything. And as a result, think of it, it's like the kid just keeps turning the car into every tree, every cone, right? Like that kid hit in the drive. Like, it's like, oh, let me get that too.
Yep.
Dude, I never in my life thought I'd be able to get this excited about politics when it was so devastating, because this is like watching an infinite number of plane crashes while watching a train crash, while watching a slow motion 60-car pileup. Like they're ending politics as we know it. So I'm sorry, politics will never be the same after Trump leaves office. It will never, ever be the same. It has changed the game, the rules, the norms, all of it. we will have a totally different second half of our lives politically in this country than any of us did in the first. There is no Reagan era. There's no shaking hands across the aisle.
You're right.
I'm sorry, it's a whole new world. It's like the Wild West out there, and I am enjoying.
Hold on. Do you think so?
Hold on.
Yeah.
So speaking of changing the game, hold on. I got a clip for you. Hold on.
Anyone who stands up to the president, anyone who criticizes the president, anyone who says anything adverse to the president's interests gets the full weight of the federal government brought down on them.
I wasn't exaggerating when I said that I received in the mail a Trump 2028 hat.
Democrats have lost 2.1 million voters. Republicans have gained 2.4 million. That's a deficit that you have of 4.5 million.
I gotta say, the last part of it, the
terrible.
coolest thing is not the queer dude kicking it with Newsom says, but how savage Trump looks on the punching bag sitting there.
Yeah, he's superimposed on. That's from Rocky 3.
Yeah.
But look, that clip you just showed, that is important because you know what Republicans are winning? The culture war.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and Democrats. First of all,
He's sombrero. Hakeem
has
Jeffries.
totally-
That sombrero thing is priceless. I'm sorry.
It is. But the left no longer understands humor.
Not at
They're
all.
afraid of it.
Not at all.
Okay,
Not even a little.
because they're so afraid of offending someone. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but the last true comedy I saw that was a theatrical release was Tropic Thunder. Okay.
Oh man.
What?
All right, and everybody talks about Robert Downey Jr.
Playing a
doing
black.
blackface, but if you watch that movie, each and every demographic was offended. Well, had a reason to be, at least, right? Because he even did this like Asian face thing, okay, at one point. But the Democrats, they don't get humor anymore. So when you approach it like Trump and the administration is doing, because it's not just him, it's even the vice president that, and some of the cabinet secretaries are like, fuck your feelings. And it's winning the culture war.
Because people got tired of having to worry about every letter that came out of their mouth offending someone and no one caring if they got offended. Because ultimately, it doesn't matter who you are, whatever demographic, minority, when you're under the assault of PC, doesn't matter what box you check.
Yep.
They're coming for you, man.
Right.
They eat your own instantly. It does not matter. So when you're at the bullseye center, everyone is the same. And that's the thing. Everybody gets tired of that, man. I don't want to wake up in the morning. Like, I don't want to go to work. I got 12 guys who I got to keep in line all day, every single day. I don't want to have to worry that I might say something at one moment in a hurry that's going to offend them. That's like this. That means nothing. It was
right.
Yeah.
There's a place for malicious contempt in the workplace, right? Like dealing with that and the race and that. And there's a letting people live and breathe and exist. And they smushed those two things together and said that it all got to be the same all the time. And
yeah,
I'm sorry, when you have 80% of the people walking around aren't better than a household appliance in their competency. And dude, look, it's not, I don't say this like it's their fault per se. You can blame two whole generations of parents who were accepting this shithole of an education system that we now have 10% of the kids. What was he saying last night on Pop and Politics? 10% math at their graduating level?
Yeah, 10% of Baltimore City school students are graduating proficient in math. The other 90% are not proficient.
And if you want to know more about what I'm talking about, there's an episode of Just the Guys of Logic here interviewing Pass, right? Chris Pass is his name. He's an investigative journalist. But I'm just saying, like, dude, we've created idiots, real toasters, and we've reinforced toaster oven status, multi-generational. We've passed down stupidity to all our kids. That's what we've given them.
Okay.
And look, real quick,
Hold on. Speaking of toasters, I want to go to this clip real quick, and then I'm going to go to you, Soldier.
On October 1st, the federal government shut down. Not by accident, but by choice. Washington failed to govern. They broke the bond that they have with our states and its people. And now families all across our state are left to deal with the fallout. This shutdown will have staggering impacts on Maryland. Health coverage denied, wages lost, programs shuttered, and projects scrapped. But here in Maryland, we believe in our federal workers. We make "thank you for your service" actually mean something, and we will never stop protecting each other. We are going to keep our state government open.
So,
oh no!
Hold on. So, Tyrone, I'm gonna start with you, but I want you to continue what you was thinking. But I want to ask, what is Maryland at threat of being shut down because of the federal government shutdown? Is he admitting that Maryland is so dependent upon the federal government that it's going to significantly impact the way Maryland as a state operates?
He may have just unwittingly admitted that. And if that's what he's doing, then you would think that he would try to address that vulnerability to the state economy by diversifying the economic sources coming into the state, right? Look, for those who don't know, Wes Moore, our governor, he has gone at Trump so viciously that we used to have a senator here named Barbara Mikulski, longtime senator, worked for the better part of a decade to get the FBI headquarters located in Greenbelt, Maryland. Now, when you bring all of that, all of those agents over here, all right, it's going to boost the economy, right? Wes Moore pretty much convinced the president not to do it by antagonizing him and acting like a child. Also, does anybody else have an issue? Am I the only one noticing Moore has this like excessive gesticulation issue?
Is that what that's called?
I just called it that. It's a new thing that I just coined. He his head moves and he's like pointing excessive. What is that? Yeah, it's excessive gesticulation. I mean, it's like, and the head never stops moving. It's like, what the hell's going on with this guy? But
our mayor's like that too.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't smoke meth.
That's true. Listen, but I want because this goes hand in hand. Earlier, Draco made a comment. Tell it to my face. Now he's referencing Hakeem Jeffries, okay, another great value Obama, just like Wes Moore. That was Hakeem Jeffries' hyper emotional response to the sombrero memes. Okay. And I mean, did you guys see him when he did that? Say it to my face. His voice was cracking and whatnot. And it was like, say it to your face. He said, the next time I'm in the Oval Office, say it to my face. And I'm like, and what? I mean, what are you going to fight the president? What is this?
Dude.
I'm going to climb across that resolute desk and I'm like,
what is this? So you have a bunch of unserious characters. What we're seeing is the culmination of participation trophy, youngsters growing up, taking positions of power and not being emotionally balanced enough to handle it. You got Wes Moore talking about, we're going to keep Maryland's government open. I didn't know it was a threat of closure. And then we got Hakeem Jeffries. It's a madhouse.
Dude, this is what I'm saying. He changed the rules. Now it's literally TV. Whatever Reagan started, Trump hit to the next level, right? Reagan tried to put a TV spin for politics back then. He used his acting career as a background for that, like his whole way through. But at the end of the day, man, Trump hit a grand slam with the rules of politics. Literally, you have politicians. Can you imagine that we have politicians on the floor screaming, no? Dude, it never was. The United States Senate and House was the most well-behaved, orderly, quiet sessions of governance. In fact, growing up, all of us will say one of the things that we all found the most interesting about European governance is that the people in it could scream and shout and pick up their shoe and throw it at somebody and not go to jail. Right? Like, because in this country, you misbehave on the Senate floor, you got dragged out in cuffs.
Granted, you had to get to that point because it wasn't always like that. I mean, our early founding fathers, they were in some pretty vicious discussions.
Again, they also had duels. Dueling was still normal when they were alive. That's not what I'm talking about in our lifetime.
Yeah, no, like
modern day governance since the end of the Second World War and the United States Empire reigns, and it was, and then we saw the end of the war, and the empire became the only standing empire when USSR fell, and then all of a sudden we turned into a bunch of clowns.
Yeah, so hold on. With the $2 super chat. Hello guys, are the Dems going to bankrupt us? How? Well, yeah, I mean they want to. You know, it's a concerted effort right now for them not to. But I mean, just go to usdebtclock.org and you can see how much money has been spent on unfunded liabilities and all the other things that the government has been spending money on. Yeah, I mean, they're trying to bankrupt us.
Dude, what's the name of the education program they passed? I mean, I can never remember the name. That's unfunded here in America. It's like, dude, the Kinwa. Like, dude, I remember it as Kinwa.
Kerwin in Maryland.
Kerwin, yes. That. Want to know how they're going to bankrupt us? Here's a way that Democrats are going to bank.
Hold on, Kung Fu CJ with the $5 super chat. Buffett pays his secretary $250K a year. Buffett gets paid $100K a year from his company. He owns nothing but controls.
Yeah, because he doesn't need income from them. He gets his money from his capital gains on his shares. But again, go back to her super chat. You know how Democrats bankrupt us? Knowingly, willingly, they pass an education program that they cannot fund, don't know how to fund, and don't even bother to fund before they make it a law and enact it. And now you have schools all over Maryland that don't have books because they can't afford books to buy because they're trying to figure out how to fund this stupid education program, and they're running out of options. Schools are going bankrupt with the tons of money going into it because they changed the program. They put a burden on the taxpayer that can't exist, and they kick the can down the road, hoping that someday, somehow, we hit a landfall like a meteor with gems falls out of the sky and into the Maryland coffers. So that's how they bankrupt us, because you have to pay the bill. And the kids who are supposed to be getting this change in education are the ones without English textbooks and math textbooks, and that's why they're retarded. Pardon the language.
Question for you guys real quick, having to do with that. Do you think, what are your views on getting rid of, as in scrapping completely, the Department of Education?
Hell yeah. If you look at the hardcore data, anyone can do this. Go look at the data pertaining to reading, writing, and arithmetic scores prior to the establishment of the Department of Education. A lot of people also don't understand. I think a lot of people believe the Department of Education was like founded by George Washington. No, it started up in the late 70s. We were number one globally in education. And right now, we're not even in the top 10. Okay. And if you look at, Logic, you could do a better job of explaining this than I can. But if you look at, for example, Baltimore City has several schools that have no one in the school, probably not even the teachers, proficient in mathematics. Okay. And this is the 21st century where, these kids are coming out and they're going to be competing with AI and that sort of thing. And they can barely, literally, and I'm not saying this to be insulting, but it's the truth. If you just walk down a random street in Baltimore and start talking to people, you will think that they are speaking a different language. Okay. And then when you go into these schools, you can't get, in many of these schools, in the Baltimore City school system as a whole, math proficiency, to say nothing of English and writing, but math proficiency is just abysmal. So what the hell has the Department of Education done besides be a gigantic jobs program, okay, for a bunch of people that took a damn sociology degree and couldn't find a job elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it is. And we sued the schools back in 2022 and was able to see a lot of this firsthand. But it's one of those things, everybody knows it. But it's one, this is why we exist, right? We have to bring back shame to situations like this, but then be willing to do something about it. Like, you know, as particularly as men, protectors of your families, one, build financial independence for yourself, right? But also, you got to show up to these school board meetings. We have to show up to these, what they're putting in front of the kids. We have to start making some type of waves in these environments that are literally destroying our communities, right? We can't just turn our kids over to the government. We can't just hope everything will be okay, because it's not. And we clearly see, what's happening there. But all of this, again, is communism. Get control of the schools, control the curriculum, soften the curriculum, infect the teachers' unions, the labor unions. All of these are communist goals that have been checked off. All right, guys, we're going to shift gears a little bit. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and share. Just the guys, we're again, our mission is to bring back shame. And this one's for you, man.
But hold on, before you jump in, I apologize. I just want to, with this, you guys have school board meetings. I only have Zoom board meetings where they just mute everybody. These school board meetings are inordinately important. My wife and I, we're at all of them. We're at those. We're at PTA, PTO. Show up when the parents show up, and it gets to a point in which all of the parents know, all of the teachers know your name. And it got to a point in which I argued for my daughter so bad that, like, the principal, it was terrible. You have to fight for your kids. Yep. That's the only way things change when it comes to that. I'm sorry, Logic. Go ahead, bro.
No, but speaking of fighting for your kids, here we go.
If I'm walking down the street and I see a black man with a white woman, there's a weakness in him. Ooh. Something in him is weak. On the other side, I think when I see a black woman with a white man, despite all the historical context that we know that sits behind that, I think, oh, she must have got she's tired. Like, she must have got so fed up that she's getting to rest now.
Man, how do we get here? Reason, I'm just opening up to you first, man. What? The floor is yours, Reason.
Why would you do that to me? But you asked, how do we get here? Again, this is a whole liberal race culture, race baiting thing, trying to create divisions between men and women. Fine. Let's just throw that out there. The internet is not real. I will answer those two specific statements, but then it's the answer to that, quite frankly, if you really, really think about it and take emotion out of it, is not logical at all. If I see a white woman with a black man, I see them being weak, and that's because the men have decided pretty much not to deal with the bullshit that has to do with you. We shouldn't have to sit here and say, I have to handle you or anything like that. This whole strong black woman thing, no. We've just gotten to a point in which we don't handle you anymore. And if the woman sits here and says, you know what, I see a black woman with a white man, and that ends up meaning she's at peace, it's because she's at peace because she decided to stop working. She stopped working or she's tired because she didn't want to continue to do the work that it takes to actually be a civil part of society and actually be able to sit down, have a conversation, and communicate effectively with the opposite sex of the person that looks just like you. Okay, fine.
Are you saying
both sides of those?
So are you saying
that's not
that
the truth at all, huh?
Are you saying that the black woman with a white man, she's more feminine?
No, not at all.
And she's because maybe I missed that.
No. It's you decided to stop working. The fact of the matter is very, very, very simple. The reason you moved over to the other side is because the people that you wanted and the people that you wanted, you respected, didn't want you. And why did they not want you? Because they saw that you weren't putting in the work to be what men of standard actually want. You have to understand, men of a specific standard have standards, and they expect from you as well. You can't sit here and say, I want the top 2% of the United States, and then that top 2% of the United States doesn't have standards, and then they have to just accept you.
Well,
No,
let me ask Gimpy.
Like,
let me ask Gimpy, because Gimpy married a person of color.
I'm married to.
Yeah, but you are a person of color.
Yeah. Gimpy married a person of color. So you see this, what the woman is saying is that,
dude, I don't understand. So let me get this straight. If you marry outside of your race, somehow there's an issue with that.
No.
Let's
yeah. I'm listening. Hold on. Either way, dude, time out. According to the clip, this lady is saying that there's a problem when a black man marries outside of his race. When he's with a white woman, it's because he's a piece of shit.
Well, no.
She was saying.
No. She's saying that something is wrong with him, like he's insecure.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit. Dude, that's politely trying to defame black men. Hold on, time out. I'm just keeping it simple. I'm not like, please don't get in there. Let me finish my point before you both jump down my throat, and then I will allow you both to kill me like the dog that I am. Okay? No. But let me finish my point. She basically lays out that it's okay for a black woman to be with a white man because of reasons, but it's not okay for a black man to be with a white woman. But then I just heard reason go the other way with it. If I heard him correctly, I couldn't pick it. I was having trouble following there for a second, but from what I gather, he's basically said it in reverse. I'm just going to argue and say this. If you find someone you love and it's a reasonable thing, why does it matter what color their skin is? Like, I'm sorry, like my wife is a Russian lady who isn't Jewish and I'm married to her. That's a big no-no for where I come from, but I did it because I love her. I don't care about that stuff. I care about my wife. I care about the person I made a commitment before God and my family and so, right? Like, dude, that's what I care about. These idiosyncrasies that whole communities get locked up in about colors, and I get why. I'm not minimizing the why. I'm just pointing out that you're taking it to this point where you're arguing about, dude, if a black guy wants to be with a white girl, who the hell cares? If a Chinese guy wants to be with an African, why do I care about that? Or a Russian with a German and a German with a Pekingese, I'm sorry, or a Mongolian with 2/3 of the known world. I like, why?
Can I say something about that?
Just call them colored. Right? Like, that's the problem. Everybody's worried about what happens when you're the mix. They call them colored in South Africa. They created their own class for them to solve the problem. I just like, dude, I hear this all the time on CTs. It doesn't matter. If you want to be a black supreme and you want to have a black power family with a black woman and a black man, do it. You want to have a white woman and a Chinese man, do it. Why do we care? As long as it's acceptable in God's terms, that it's a man and a woman and it's a holy union, right?
Well, I want you to notice who's complaining first. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so let me land my plane, because it was sent over to Gimpy before I could actually finish what I was trying to say. I was trying to prove a point. The point is, this shit only happens in specific parts of social media. That's it. I mean, can we be inordinately real here? If you want to do the whole people being together and people being with the specific races they're supposed to be with and segregated and all that good stuff, believe it or not, the majority of that is true all over the world. The majority of people of specific cultures and colors marry the majority of them. As a matter of fact, black women are the most race loyal. They're at like 92%. Black men are at 86%. We marry, but we end up marrying who we love. That's really what the deal is. All the shit that you see on social media is just that. It's not real. I mean, if you get rid of the coast of the United States and look at all these flyover states, the majority of the United States is married. Like they are. They're with people that they love, and they're making it work, you know? I mean, if you get rid of the coast, again, we're actually above the 50% divorce rate. We don't get divorced like that if you get rid of the coast. And DC, which is at a 23%, they're the lowest rate of people that have ever, like, no one gets married in DC. So when you take all of that stuff out, the majority of the United States is married, working, and happy. You guys just love who you want to love and stop believing in all this bullshit. There were two answers to answer that, which I did, what I felt about her. And then there's the truth of what's really happening in the United States, you guys. Social media isn't real. Don't fall for it, man. That's it.
So, but I do think there's something deeper to this, man. And Tyrone, I want you to chime in on this. And maybe this is me making up stuff, but I do see this. Yeah, but I do see this as one of those things that these people have useful idiot syndrome. And because constantly talking about race like this is another source of division, right? And it's already bad enough that men and women have the enmity between them, as from Adam and Eve time. But then now you're incorporating this element of race on top of that, and notice it generally is stemming. I don't really see black men talking about this as much. It's outside of Dr. Umar, but he's a clown, and he's not serious about it either, man. But it's like if a black woman marries or is with a white man, it's because she's tired, she's fed up, and she's at peace. How do you, to me, it's more or less at that point, if you're focusing on that, you're an useful idiot. So I want you to get your kind of response, your take on what you just saw, and if I'm crazy too.
No, I pretty much believe with everything, agree with everything that's been said here. You fall in love with who you fall in love with. I know one of my best friends, absolute, I've known him for decades. He's married to a Caucasian lady. He's a black man. And they got married about 26 years ago.
He has low self-esteem?
Actually, this is one of the most arrogant guys you'll ever meet. Very successful. He's never struck me as having low self-esteem. But anyway, a mutual acquaintance of ours, when I got engaged, which was shortly after they got married, this mutual acquaintance came up to me and said, "I knew you'd marry a black woman." And I said, "How?" Because I had every intention of marrying whoever, whatever woman I fell in love with. And I never looked at it as she has to be black. Okay. Now I have been fortunate enough to visit some different places in the world. And I think that's one of the things. Travel helps you expand your mind, right? Yeah. But even before I started doing that, I'm like, I'm just in my relationships, it's whoever I happen to fall in love with. In fact, these women better be happy that we're not an interstellar society. I just texted you. I sent it to you in the messenger, Logic. I saw this green woman on Star Trek one time, and I'm like, she's hot. And so you better be glad that we're not, doing the interstellar thing yet, because a lot of these ladies would really, really then have a lot more competition. But can you, I don't understand for the life of me. I really don't understand looking at somebody and making a whole bunch of judgments. Yeah, there she is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I don't understand looking at somebody.
I'd pass on her, but to each their own. I mean,
I'm sure CT would agree with me.
I'd smash. I'd definitely smash.
Okay. So, but I don't understand looking at people and making all these judgment calls just based on skin color. I don't get it.
Oh no! All right, smash or pass, audience. I mean, smash or pass. Just let us know.
I would bring her to the picnic.
To the picnic. Yeah, of course, it's a picnic. It's not a cookout.
I'd bring her to your. I'd bring her to your.
Well, there you go.
we know what side you're on. Smash or pass. Okay. All right. All right. Oh no. Let me stop sharing this.
Oh
screen,
boy.
Man. All right, here we go. All right, guys. One last thing, man, because this is our Bring Back Shame segment. I was on Twitter or X, and I started seeing these clips pop up, and I'm wondering, why are these clips popping up? So if you're unaware, Time has recently released a list and of the world's most influential rising stars, and Brandon Scott, mayor of Baltimore City, made the 2025 Time 100 Next list. This past week. So Brandon Scott, of course, the mayor of Baltimore City. But I want you guys to respond to this clip, and this was the night of the election. Just kind of speaking of Black women. But this is what he had to say. Hold on, do I have it? Yeah, here. No, dang it! Did that clip not upload? Hold on. Oh, yeah, here it is. Sorry. No, it's this clip. I got it.
It is really on my heart this morning to say that as a man, but more importantly as a Black man, that this country does not deserve Black women or Black people, but specifically Black women.
Jay.
Who wants to go first?
Okay, well then, hey, look, they set up a place over in Africa called Liberia. You can go there today. When he says doesn't deserve Black women, I mean it's Brandon Scott, so I'm not going to really take an inordinate amount of time trying to figure out what this numbskull.
He have to take someone else's woman to get his own to begin with.
What's that?
Didn't he have to steal someone else's woman to get his own?
Right.
I'm just saying, why is anybody taking any advice about anything from a guy who can barely run a city that's already Dude, let's put it to you this way. All right, folks in the audience, you can be the judge. Baltimore is doing so well that Giovanni moved out of there. So you judge for yourself if Brandon Scott is improving or the last bastion of hope, the guy who loved the city the most, left.
Right. So, and you raise a great point, Gimpy. In all seriousness, when you lose people like Giovanni, because as far as I'm concerned, the minute I got two nickels to rub together, I was out. Okay. I grew up there and I saw it transform during the mid 80s. And I'm like, it's not going to get any better. And I was not wrong. But when you've got faithful people, committed people trying to really, truly make things better, and you do have those in the city. But when they give up, okay, I say the hell with this, man. I'm not trying to do this anymore. Then, yeah, you are presiding over a real shithole.
Yeah, I've got a love-hate relationship with Baltimore City. I've got a love-hate relationship with Baltimore City. The problem is I'm currently being, completely distracted by you talking about green women. I'm looking at Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy right now. Yeah, that would definitely be a smash.
Dude, we know what happens. By the way, if Reason's camera turns off for a few minutes, we all know what's going on, folks. So
S-Files mentioned Mystique.
Mystique is a gorgeous, actually. Gimpy, you're right.
S-Files mentioned Mystique.
That was faster than even CT.
Mystique, yeah, absolutely. Mystique as well. S-Files, what's up? Positive vibes, good evening. LJ, what's going on, sweetheart? How are you? Draco, good evening. Thank you for showing up tonight. You guys, I appreciate you. Notice I completely just discarded that whole Brandon Scott last one because this dude is an absolute and utter waste of my time, brain power, and thought process. Again, you had a guy This gentleman right here, let's make him large. Pause.
Hey, yo.
Yeah, let's make him large. This guy literally ran for office in Baltimore City. He spent night after night after night telling me how magnificent Baltimore City was, and the guy left. So if this guy left, and I don't know, this dude stayed in the city for an inordinately long period of time. And then he was like, you know what?
This is what I'm telling you. And this is the mayor of this city that literally the last good man moved out of Baltimore City under Brandon Scott's watch. You people judge what that means for him being the next from time.
So does Baltimore not want black people? Does Baltimore not deserve black people?
Baltimore doesn't. Black man.
I personally think what's happening is if you look on the back end, I believe it would be the north side of the Sheikh Zayed building, Sidney Kimmel Comprehensive Cancer Center in Baltimore City, Johns Hopkins. The back end of that, heading up towards Charles Village, is being completely remodeled. I think they're removing the black people removing everybody out of the city, making it just so expensive so they can create something else that they want to call Baltimore. I know what the crazy thing is this. I was talking to my wife about this a couple weeks ago. I have a feeling I know what they want to do with Baltimore City. The thing is, will I be here long enough? Will I stay here long enough to actually see what it becomes?
Man, Baltimore is just communist city 101, and Brandon Scott is I think he's just a useful idiot. He's literally a useful idiot, because honestly, I do think he believes that the things he's been indoctrinated with will fix Baltimore. I think he cares about the city, but I strongly believe he is a tool, and he's just doing everything for self-promotion, to get to his next thing. And quite frankly, for Baltimore to be a primary black city, and it's been primary black since the mid 80s, all the leadership of the city is black. You got black mayor, history of black mayors, black school board, black city council, black police chief, black state's attorney. Everybody's black. For him to just come up here and say stuff like that, and your city isn't a shining example of what black excellence could look like, you should be absolutely ashamed. Gimpy, go ahead, man.
What number was he on that list?
Number of what? Oh, I don't know. I don't know if the order.
I don't even think they did it by number. I think they just
100 out of 100. At least there's some redemption in that for us.
Right.
But dude, he thinks it is a shining city on a hill. Don't you understand? Hold on. Let me hold this sign up one time real quick. Right? He's part of this 80%. He's not in power because he's smart or cunning or ruthless. He's in power because he's been groomed by the smart and cunning and ruthless. Right. He's a nitwit. He's worse than a nitwit. He's a midwit.
And let me ask you this. Okay, so what if he said America doesn't deserve black women, right?
And he says he said America doesn't deserve black women, especially because he's talking about Kamala Harris. But America doesn't also deserve black people.
Okay. Right. He's making a bigger statement than just that too with it. But I'm just saying, like, he's trying to make it that not just Kamala Harris, black women, because they 98% voted for her. He's trying to use as many bullet points in a single sentence as humanly possible. Right? Like, that's what I'm saying. He's a midwit, literally just churning out what the speechwriter gave him.
Yep.
So then who does deserve black women and black people? Because the argument that he's making.
Well, aren't black women black people? Why are we separating the two?
Oh, because we're using Brandon Scott logic.
Yeah, I'm like, that's a whole left.
Dude, I don't speak crazy. Toaster. Does anyone have a toaster to English dictionary? I could honestly.
All right, so guys, we got to get a toaster on stage now, right?
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, dude, that's such toaster-like nonsense. You don't deserve black women. If you want an America that deserves you, build an America that deserves you, like everyone else has to do in this goddamn country. Don't get up in front as the leader of men and these women and we lost an election. The world is over. because they're acting that way, Trump ran away with it. Right. I'm sorry. Let me make this point. Because they treated it as an utter defeat, Trump took it as a superior victory. So now he just has his boot to their throat. He doesn't care. They basically conceded. They said the world is over now that you won. He's like, okay, the world's over. I'm in charge. Dude, they literally created the nightmare they wanted to avoid all by themselves. It had even with Trump winning, they could have behaved like they did in his first term, where they were just like this against him the whole time. They were resistant. Instead, they rolled over and played dead and are doing everything in order to exacerbate that narrative that they're victimized by Trump every day. Dude, I'm sorry. Like, that's why guy up like that gets up there, doesn't deserve black men, women, or black people. What does that mean, dude? You literally run one of the major cities of black men and women, and you're saying the country doesn't. So what have you done? That means you are admitting being an epic failure at every level of your job. Right. In order to prove political points.
If you want to know how insidiously racist he is, just every time he says black, substitute that word for white, and then make him a white mayor. Yeah. Okay. And then you will, if you don't already, which is pretty evident, see the absurdity of his language. And then there's a such thing as the amen corner, right? So you get some, this happens in a black church. You can get a black preacher behind that microphone. He could say anything. I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Pops. And you'll get, yeah, amen. And so this is the kind of mentality that you're going to find that whatever he says, okay, so we're looking for it to make sense, right? We're like, he didn't say anything. Oh, no, not to the amen corner, okay? He's Moses come down from Mount Sinai to them.
Spoke a word.
Saying some evil, twisted, horrible person is winding up the Brandon Scotts of the world and unleashing them on. Brandon Scott is nobody without the money that finances him. Like he is not a rich man. He survives at the behest of other people who his donors.
So, but here's the thing, guys, because there is a communist angle to this, and it is a legitimate one. One of the communist goals or communist strategies, it was to get enough black people to say we no longer want to be Americans, and then to separate themselves from America. Again, have a Negro republic. They thought they were going to do it in the South. It didn't work at first, or some of the Negroes that they were using actually went rogue and then got caught, and some other things happened back in the past. That's why McCarthy was doing the things that he was doing. But they use this race angle on purpose, right? Because now you then plant this seed for black people to secede from the United States. Now, this is just my weird theory. Again, I believe Baltimore is America's communism incubator. But there's a lot of things that happen across the country that just kind of test out. Because if you really follow it, Baltimore kind of falls behind some of the crazy activism work. It kind of stays in the shadows when those things happen. For example, when the whole George Floyd thing was going on, we did have some agitators here, but it was kind of quelled. It wasn't as like some of the other cities, or when Portland and this Chaz Chop and all these things that are going on. I think those are kind of like testers. They're just trying to see where we can go, how far we can get. But a lot of that stuff is actually, it's being brought back to Baltimore for the research. The Democrat Socialists of America have a strong presence in Baltimore City, and they're a known communist Marxist group. All these legal organizations to how to get out of whatever, they're right here in Baltimore, but you don't see as much activity here, right? Because I do believe it's a bit of the communist headquarters. But what Baltimore does have going for it is a black city. It's probably America's largest primary black city at this point, because I think DC was at one point, but now I do think it's Baltimore.
I think you're right.
And the communists need that wedge to drive this narrative. So if Baltimore can be a city that's separated from the United States because it's black. I just think what he's saying here is kind of feeding into that secession message of let's create our own black nation here in the country.
How do you do that when you have no missiles or tanks or guns?
I mean, you got all these ghost guys.
Hold on. Wait. I like your theory. Can I add something to it? Because I'm not criticizing it. I want to add something to it. I like your theory. The reason why that other stuff, the Chaz, the points, no white people, though, that's primarily a white problem. What you mentioned in terms of leftist violence, it's not real. Like, there are definitely people of color and minority now, but like in general, that Chaz and all that stuff is primarily a white-faced front. So the reason why I think it doesn't happen here is because you don't have the numbers of those people. You'd have to literally bust people in from surrounding areas just to make that a reality. When they have a ripe city filled with angry white people who are poor. So I think that's why that doesn't happen here. I agree with your theory, though. Baltimore is definitely the place where they take the refined ideas and turn them into the way of life. They do that all the time with how they, again, Maryland is now under Westmore. That was the biggest mistake of all of us getting caught up in Trumpian politics as Republicans with who we picked to replace, right? We all voted for Dan Cox when we should have voted for...
not all of us. But anyway,
I'm just saying as a state.
I got you.
He won the primary, right? And what's her name? We all should have voted for the blonde lady, Hogan's replacement, right? Because she would have had a chance at winning, where Dan Cox did not remotely stay. History shows he didn't stay. He got trounced into oblivion by Westmore. So, I mean, this now Maryland, I think, is an expanding. Is the point I'm making is Maryland is now a new layer to your thing. I think they've expanded it into the whole state now.
But I should say and not but. So you've got this guy, Brandon Scott. He's not even bright enough to understand that if you want to be a separatist leader, the last thing you should be pursuing is an establishment political career, okay? Especially at the rung of mayor, right? Now, you're right, Gimpy. They don't have tanks. He doesn't, trust me, he doesn't get the fact that what makes a nation state viable is a monopoly on force, okay? He doesn't understand these concepts, all right? He's just speaking. He's just throwing words out.
He's a useful idiot. He's
politicking.
Right.
He's doing what communists do. He's politicking with a K at the end.
Yeah, force doctrine is real. That's
good. But look, what my biggest thing is the Trump effect. This is what I mean, that nothing will ever be the same. His existence as president, not once, but twice, in the most absurd way possible. Dude, they're going to talk about it started with a ride down a golden escalator, right? In 100 years teaching American history. And depending on who's in charge, it's either they're going to teach it like it was the Nazi regime rising to power, or that God's greatest president ever in the history of the country stop the backslide. Whatever it is in 100 years, that's what they're going to do. But this man is going to be the focal point of American history in the modern day. Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Obama, they will all be tiny compared to the shadow. I'm sorry, even as the first black president, Obama is still going to be overshadowed because Trump is the natural occurrence after Obama. So he casts this massive, he brings every administration in our lifetimes into question. We have questions now we never had because Trump's been in office and things have been exposed.
Okay, so you don't think it's possible to go back? You think now that Trump's here, everything, he's now the new standard, something is completely different, everything changes?
I don't think he's the new standard, but yeah, the second part, yes.
Yeah,
we're never going back, because what Republican can recreate the Trump impact? So they're all going to have to carry the torch forward. You could never. They were just talking about this. What's his name? Jennings, the guy who goes on CNN and kicks everybody in the head. Jennings, right?
Scott Jennings.
Yeah, Scott Jennings. He was talking on some stage. He's doing some speaking engagement with another guy, and they're talking about it. Vance could carry on the party. but that and be a torchbearer, but you can't be Trump. You can't even remotely replicate what that Trump is an entity in the universe unto himself.
So what's happening is you've got, we talked about Reagan. Okay. Reagan was the touchstone up until now. Trump.
Right.
So you got folk talking about Reagan for the last 40 years. Now that legacy is being picked up by Trump, and that will be the new touchstone. Put this comment up by LJ, because this is right on target of what we're talking about. And it's also what Republicans need to do. Racist Virginia seems to be rejecting Winsome Sears. They are racist Democrats. We need, look, yes, Virginia is carrying on the legacy of the Confederacy. It was a Confederate state by rejecting an ultra qualified, not just black person, black woman. Okay, isn't that the games that they play, right?
But doesn't that show the fascism, though? Doesn't that show it's you think what we tell you to think? You vote what we tell you to vote.
That's right. Even down to which black people are acceptable and which ones are not.
But dude, it's not okay. You're not wrong when you say fascism, communism, and all those things. But if we're being correct, and if we really want to stop what's coming or do change or whatever, it's technocracy. That's what we're actually getting railroaded into. It's the new form of fascism, socialism, and all of it rolled into one big thing because you don't need people anymore. They'll be able to do it with electronics. They'll be able to do everything without needing the human element. Cameras, drones, it'll be automated, AI. Even at this point now, AI is good enough to do facial recognition scanning and social credit systems. China demonstrates that they have a very good manage using just the regular AI we have now to manage their social credit system. It's pretty much seamless over there.
Yep.
So again, technocracy is what's coming, which should terrify people because
we're going to have to get into that.
Gimpy,
we're going to have to get into that because Soldiers and I was conversing. I think it was in a group chat.
I think the three of us were talking about.
Yeah, we were all
conversing this week.
I'm just saying, like, we should call it what it is. It's technocracy.
So yeah, I think we're going to dig into that because it is a real threat. But I think next week I want to have this conversation that the black church is hell. The black church is hell. You'll know enough. You'll know enough for next week's show. But guys, closing thoughts, man. Gimpy, what you got going on this week, man?
The work CT show. I'm sure I'll be on once or twice. Dude, work's a nightmare. But you know what? Mostly be nice to everyone the same way you want them to be nice to you, and only monkeys litter.
Golden rule. Okay. All right. Reason. What you got this week, man? What closing thoughts for you, bro?
A whole bunch of work, a whole bunch of MCM stuff, a whole bunch of different shows. Just so you know, you guys, we are Just the Guys podcast. We are the 6:30 p.m. show, Metro Conservative Media Network. Tomorrow will be Christian Conservative, followed by Pop and Politics on Monday. And Tuesday, it will be the All-American Talk Show at 6:45 p.m. So we're doing a whole bunch of that great stuff, trying to just help people understand that, you know, if you put 2 + 2 together, it will always equal 4. Common sense and always common sense. And if you put a little logic and reason in there, no pun intended, everything will really pretty much make sense. Mm-hmm. So outside of that, I'm just trying to, like today and tomorrow, and you guys who are in the chat, for those who work a whole lot, when you get that time to spend with family, it's a beautiful thing. So I have been trying my best to get with my wife and daughter in the last few days, and I'm going to be with them tomorrow. It makes me inordinately happy, feel complete as a man who is married and a father when you can get around family and just enjoy that family. So that will be happening with me, and then Monday we'll get around and we will start that bad boy all over next week. So that's what is going on. And if I can just say hello to S-Files, I appreciate you, S-Files. You are pretty much at every single Metro Conservative Media show, as well as Kung Fu CJ. I appreciate you as well. LJ, it's always good seeing you, my dear. Just we appreciate our faithfuls, positive vibes. You are incredible, Draco. It's good seeing you. Just thank you for hanging out with us, Mark and Poland. It's always a pleasure as well. I'm gonna get off this, but continue to like, share, and subscribe, you guys. It's good being around. Thank you.
Right on. So, soldiers, what you got going on, man?
All right. First of all, I'd like to suggest that Gimpy do some homework in preparation for next week's show. Gimpy, tomorrow morning at 11 a.m., Black churches all across the city. Now, you got to go to one in the city. We'll open, okay? You need to go into one, and that way you will have a complete frame of reference.
You should. Actually, man, you should do that.
You should.
You should really do that, Gimpy.
Yeah.
I've been to Black church before.
Just see it as a research project, man.
You got to go tomorrow.
Yeah, go tomorrow. So, okay. So that's his homework.
Wait.
But listen, on the he brought up a good point, and I know that we'll get into this in a subsequent show, but computer vision dazzle. Okay, this is like a makeup technique where British people are painting patterns on their faces in order to confuse facial recognition software. But that's not the craziest part. The government is telling these people that that's illegal and they can't do that. So they're actually telling people that they can't paint their own faces. All right. So I think we're going to cover some of that on Soldiers of Finance. And everybody, if you haven't already, check out Soldiers of Finance on YouTube. We talk about some interesting stuff. Like, share, subscribe.
Right on, right on. Appreciate that.
Dude,
man.
we could have been like that had Kamala won.
Oh, sure.
We would all be the same here now. They would have ushered it in. Look how fast everything changed with them fighting tooth and nail against Trump.
Yep.
No one would have stepped a word. The Republicans would have hid like little girls, and the Democrats would have steamrolled everything if they would have had what we have as Republicans right now in control of the federal government. And we would totally be the UK.
Yep.
Hey guys, Kung Fu CJ.
Yeah, we love you. Shout out to everybody in the chat. And first timers here. I see some new faces. Deplorable Kulak 4. I don't know who that is, but welcome. But yeah, again, like, share, and subscribe. I want to leave you guys with this thought. So shout out to S Files.
S Files is incredible.
Sent me an email this week that we're going to try to get published. And but she was just talking about how Black conservatives are important. And Soldiers came by the other day, you know, while I was out on Good Behavior, and he was I was sharing with him as well how it is going to be Black people to save America, and not the way people are going about it now, but it is going to take Black people to stop focusing on this race issue, and realizing that we as Black people want the same thing that pretty much everybody else wants, and the only place we can get it is in America. So when we start focusing on our faith, and going back to having real faith, focusing on our family, and focusing on providing freedom and economic opportunities for our family through our work, our merit, those type of things, then that's when I believe our country will be saved. But it does take shows like this, like Poppin' Politics, All American Talk, and Christian Conservative, and a lot of the other kind of Black perspectives, and not because they're Black, it's just their freedom. It's going to take a lot of us to do that. So shout out to Positive Vibes with the $2 super chat. Don't go one in the hood and don't get shot. I mean, you're right, because the code, the street code that used to be on, like, no shootings on Sundays.
That's true.
That's not there anymore.
That's true.
Because there's no God in their house, in that world anymore. Back in the day, when we were kids, even the criminals, their mamas still went to church, so they got dragged to church. And you know what, dude? When you have no God in society, you have no moral compass. The state can't be your moral compass, because the state is a bunch of people drunk on their own power. I mean, name me anybody you ever met that has a high position in the government that you don't want to sometimes just kick in the face a little. I mean, even the ones we like, dude, even the ones we know, like, dude, when you have power like that, when you make a decision and 1 million people are instantly impacted, it changes the type of person. Like, you become a different person.
And that's why Charlie Kirk was a problem. Because Charlie Kirk was talking about bringing God into the government.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing.
Why
morality, like a Judeo-Christian morality, is a very important thing to hold on to. And the communist mentality that if we smush everything together so there's no difference between anything, we'll all be fine. Dude, that never worked.
And this is the premise behind, I think, our next episode, which is the Black church is hell.
Yeah, we're gonna have fun with
it.
Right, man, I know I will. I know I will. And if Gimpy, you need some protection to go with you tomorrow, just give me a call, man. We'll go together.
Bulletproof vest. We'll be all right.
We'll go together. Man.
I'm gonna play some Snoop Dogg real loud as I roll up.
Take an Uber. Take an Uber.
I don't know. The Uber might not come back.
Oh, well, that's true.
Or they might cancel the ride.
That's true. That's true.
All right, guys, let's get out of here, guys. Remember, we're here to bring back shame, and only monkeys litter. Go ahead and like, share, subscribe. Let's get out of here in peace.
Have a good one, you guys. Deuces.